Today, we take you on a tour of the Navy's most controversial warship. Welcome to CNBC After Hours. I'm MacKenzie Sigalos. Right off the bat, let's get you caught up on the markets. Another day of strong earnings boosted the S&P 500 to a new record, and the Nasdaq ended higher too. The Dow, meanwhile, finished just barely in the red after bouncing back from a 150-point dip earlier in the day. As for crypto, Bitcoin pulled back from its all-time high, falling about 5.5% by 4 p.m. Eastern. The ProShares ETF, BITO, also fell more than 5%. Ethereum took a less than 1% loss, while Cosmos, a cryptocurrency built on a, quote, internet of blockchains, fell 6%. Here are some other numbers that moved markets today. First up, $9 billion. It looks like second time's a charm for WeWork. The company finally went public via SPAC more than 2 years after its failed IPO. The deal was first announced in March and valued the company at $9 billion. Of course, that is a sharp drop from the company's initial $47 billion valuation in 2019. Investors weren't buying into the company then, but they are now. The stock jumped 8% when it opened for trading. Next, $75 million. Those canceled flights Southwest Airlines faced earlier this month, they were pretty expensive. The airline reported third quarter earnings this morning, and while it beat expectations, Southwest did disclose that those October cancellations cost the company $75 million. In all, Southwest canceled 2,000 flights between October 8th and October 13th. And the company says it plans to trim flights yet again. Lastly, $1.6 billion. Another company that reported earnings this week was Tesla. The electric vehicle maker reported revenue and profit with a net income of more than $1.6 billion. Our own Jim Cramer said the company had a perfect quarter and could see the stock heading to $1,000 a share. Okay, so one big goal for the U.S. Navy is to have 355 ships in its fleet by the end of the decade. Now, of course, part of that plan includes building new ships, but it also includes salvaging older ships in the fleet and keeping them running for longer than originally planned. That doesn't seem to be the case for the Navy's Littoral Combat Ships, though. 2 have already been decommissioned in recent months after less than 15 years in service due to high maintenance costs. They were meant to last for closer to 30. CNBC.com's Brad Howard took a tour of one of these LCS ships and can show us around.
I'm Brad Howard with CNBC, and for CNBC After Hours, I'll be going aboard the Littoral Combat Ship. It's one of the Navy's multi-million-dollar warships, and we're getting an inside look.
The USS Milwaukee, a Freedom-class LCS, is training off the coast of Florida, which means getting there requires a 1-hour helicopter ride. The LCS is capable of handling a variety of helicopters on its flight deck, including uncrewed helicopters.
Halo, away, starboard side.
Behind me is a Fire Scout.
The MQ-8C Fire Scout is an uncrewed helicopter that is as big as a normal helicopter. It can help the crew by providing surveillance over the horizon, among other uses. The LCS isn't a giant warship. It seems like every inch is dedicated to a purpose. The galley where the crew eats is utilitarian, but it provides an area for the crew to unwind during the weeks or even months at sea. And the rear of the ship has a hold capable of being loaded with Connex boxes, among other types of equipment, which can be particularly useful during humanitarian operations. The last LCS was ordered in fiscal year 2019, and the average cost of the last 5 LCSs ordered was about $983 million. 23 ships have been commissioned and 9 ships are currently under construction or in pre-construction.
So I'm here on the bridge of the USS Milwaukee. What's notable about it is the combination of training and new technology allows for the crew on this bridge to be much smaller than previous frigate designs.
So we come to these ships prepared to face anything that is thrown at us with the 3 people that we have on the bridge, vice other ships that could have anywhere 12, 14, 15 people.
The LCS is equipped with a rigid hull inflatable boat, or RIB.
These boats are also useful for search and rescue, counter-piracy, and also for certain sorts of maritime inspection.
The crew of the Milwaukee took me on an exercise where the RIB would be launched from the LCS in order to send sailors to board another vessel, but a critical hose malfunctioned which prevented the doors from opening.
Shut it down! Shut up, APU!
The crew quickly and safely fixed the hose, communicating loudly through each step of the process. After the RIB was launched, the sailors performed a boarding exercise supported by a helicopter from the LCS. One of the main advantages a ship like the LCS brings to the fleet is capabilities such as this sort of interdiction. The small boat and aerial support the LCS can bring to bear is also useful in humanitarian situations, such as when Haiti experienced an earthquake in August of this year.
USS Billings is one of the first ones on scene, so you have an LCS on scene with their helicopter providing humanitarian relief.
At the end of the day, the LCS is a Navy warship, and it's designed to engage with the enemy. The LCS has a 57mm main gun.
Its primary purpose is the anti-surface warfare. It can be used against anti-air warfare as well. You don't expect a gun this big to shoot that fast, but when it starts pummeling out rounds, it's definitely impressive to watch.
The Freedom-class ships in operation are also awaiting an upgrade that will place the naval strike missile on board, which will be a huge upgrade in the ship's ability to fight other warships, something that the Pentagon wants in an era of strategic competition.
With that missile, there's many other lethality upgrades that the LCS are getting, which I cannot talk about right now. But again, you're taking a lethal, stealthy ship who's able to go fast in the littorals and making it much more deadlier.
As I left the USS Milwaukee, it seemed to me that after a rocky 20-year development, the Navy may not have the ship it set out to build back in 2002, but it does have a very capable small warship, and the lessons learned from it will likely be part of future Navy ship designs for years to come.
Before we go, we have to tell you one last thing, and this time it's about us. We first launched After Hours from our home offices on April 23rd of 2020, but we had actually been planning it for several months before we went live. Of course, plans changed for all of us in those first few months of the pandemic, but we are still so proud of the show our small team brought you every Tuesday and Thursday, and sometimes Friday. We never missed a single episode. Now the After Hours team is returning to the office and thinking of new ways to bring important news to you. In order to turn those plans into action, we have to put After Hours on hold. We will be launching a brand new project in January, and we can't wait for you to see it. So just as we say at the end of every show, be sure to catch us then. For now though, from everyone who worked on this program, Jordan, Ariel, Mike, Tim, Julian, and Christian as producers and editors, Daphne, John, Jim, Alex, Katie, and Jen as coordinators, Jeff, Camelia, and Jay as leaders, and of course, Pippa and myself as hosts, thank you for watching After Hours.